Friends, Romans, fellow countrymen, welcome to Prem Sports Rants with yours truly. I'm here to entertain you guys. Thank you for watching our previous podcast in which we spoke about combat sports and dietary needs for sportsmen and women, in which Salman and Sohail did a brilliant performance, and hopefully we'll have them back shortly for a follow-up in regards to those topics. So let me go straight into the world of football. Today's the 18th of May, and yesterday on the 17th and 16th in particular, we witnessed world-breaking news of the return of football, of top flight football, of the Bundesliga. We saw quite a few live games televised, in which if you had the BT Sports apps, you could have seen more games at the same time. Dortmund versus Schalke, what a game. Good, strong rivalry, and Schalke had been a bit steady on the Wagner, the ex-Huddersfield manager, in which Schalke was a bit shaky, and Dortmund, brilliant performance. And that's without quite a few stars. Emre Can was not playing, Witzel was not playing. Also, who was not playing? A guy that came on as a sub later on, Sancho, for the star player of the game, Guerrero. Brilliant performance. You cannot ignore Haaland. He scored the first goal after Todibo, the player on loan from Barcelona, swore about his grandparents. Shameful behaviour. And it was great to see Haaland score the goal and then sacrifice himself for the third goal. Brilliant performance by Dortmund. And Bayern Munich had a bit of a more difficult game, in which Union Berlin at one point could look like they could salvage a draw. So well done to Bayern Munich for winning that game, away game in which Dortmund and Mönchengladbach have lost at Union Berlin. So brilliant performance. And as I've just mentioned, one of the sides, Leipzig, actually I didn't mention Leipzig. Leipzig lost. They drew. They scored a late goal, Poulsen. So they are hindering their title race, their hopes of the title race. And it was a good game to see. Thank you, Bundesliga, for returning. Some patches like the Cologne versus Mainz game, which was in between, they had a bit of a not always entertaining, because you saw some back passing. What the midfielder was doing, some bad passes, and Cologne was capitalizing it. So there were some problems, but at the end of the day, that's football, and it was good to see you got like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you so much. And I guess the other news I would have to say, since it is Monday today, that the SBL has finished the season. They will not continue, and Celtic have been awarded the title. And that is, I'm going to say, pointless, because Rangers actually surrendered the title like they did last season from December, that they cannot capitalise on an early good pre-winter break performance. So if it wasn't for Middlesbrough being so bad, I would say that Middlesbrough could easily even win that league. But Woodgate has made that not possible. League Two have also voted, so League Two of the English League has also voted to suspend any more fixtures. So I thought I should mention that, because I haven't done a football related podcast for a while, and that's all I'm going to talk about football, because I want to do a quick short podcast for you guys. Thank you so much for staying and tuning in. I'm going to talk about wrestling. So Money in the Bank, I haven't really referenced that beside a minute I should say. So in the Money in the Bank, I really like the cinematic approach. So they had the cinematic approach for the main event, in which we saw a lot of comedy scenes, in which we saw how Asuka and Otis won. I in particularly really liked how Asuka won, because we saw the interaction with Baron Corbin, who's notorious for someone who cannot, he can't handle stressful moments, high pressure moments, in which he could have actually won the male's briefcase, Money in the Bank briefcase, if he was patient and made a deal with Asuka that she can continue going for the female briefcase, and he could go for the male briefcase. He didn't do that. Asuka hit him down the ladder. It was hilarious, and she didn't only win the briefcase. We saw the following night that she won the belt. congratulations to Becky and Seth Rollins. May your baby be healthy and stay safe during these tough times. And then Otis, how he won, it was really fun. It was quite funny as well, in which AJ Styles and Baron Corbin were fighting over the briefcase. Brilliant moment. Even the Vince McMahon situation. There's so many moments you can talk about, but I'll just talk about the Vince McMahon situation in which Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles ran into his office. We saw the big fossil of I think it was a T-Rex, in which Daniel Bryan actually referenced it a few weeks prior on a Smackdown episode. Brilliant moment. And I think that actually wasn't my favourite whole moment. I believe that the two world title matches were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. For different reasons. So let me start that again. So Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre put on a clinic. More so Seth Rollins. He helped to make Drew McIntyre step up and perform a 5-star match. It was that good. Seth Rollins performed all of the top maneuvers. He did the Falcon suplex, which was great. And that shows that Seth Rollins isn't just a high flyer. He is a guy, because of his CrossFit background, he can do it all. And that was a great performance. And it is sad that he didn't win. He's definitely the better champion overall, but you need to give Drew McIntyre time to grow. So fantastic match. And the one I enjoyed the most was Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt, because it was not a match just to do with the performance in the physical performance. It was to do with the storyline of their past relationship. And wrestling's not just about the performance of the athleticism. It's also about the storyline, because it's about how you transcend the storyline into physical maneuvers. And the way it ended was fantastic, in which Braun Strowman was wearing the black sheep mask, and the puppets from the funhouse were all watching Bray, witnessing that his past disciple is returning to him. And it was a powerful moment. I was watching with a few guys on Zoom, and 3 of us were just gobsmacked. It was a fantastic moment, and I believe that's what it helps me in particularly to capture the beauty of wrestling. My 2 favorite wrestlers before CM Punk is Kane and Undertaker, and it was going along those lines of the mystery of mysterious issues, how Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt were interacting with each other. Fantastic moment. I should briefly talk about Raw and Smackdown as well. So obviously the main part that happened of Raw was the situation about Becky, but let's talk about other matches as well. I really like to see how Drew McIntyre obliterated those Almas. He obliterated Almas, Truth and Gaza. That was interesting. Lashley looked really strong. I really liked how Lashley and MVP are building a bond. And even seeing R-Truth in that 3-on-3 match as well. That was really good. Seeing Ricochet and Cedric Alexander and against MVP and the 2 rising stars who we are more aware of, the 2 Aussie wrestlers. Brilliant to see. And I'm always going to prefer Smackdown. Smackdown was brilliant once again. And that reminds me. Apparently, a Drew Gulak versus Daniel Bryan match, which was a 5-star match, no doubt. Because that Smackdown, I was actually quite disappointed initially, because I was thinking there's only going to be 4 matches. Because we did see a good Elias versus Baron Corbin match, in which Elias won. Then we saw a quick women's match between Dana Brooke and her name's forgotten. I had Naomi against Naomi, but then it was that Daniel Bryan Drew Gulak match saved everything, and unfortunately the dirt sheets, I think it's a dirt sheet rumor, or that Drew Gulak will not renew his contract, and that was his last obligatory match as a WWE superstar. He was still playing a storyline afterwards, after his contract ran out, so in which he was helping Daniel Bryan still train to better himself. So I think it's more of a case that Drew Gulak may not be used for a few weeks and may return, hopefully, because his match against Daniel Bryan was fantastic, and I liked how it ended with the whole Otis versus Braun Strowman, because there's a lot of complexities. There's a picture on, and there's a picture, the Kamimi picture of Otis and Mandy Rose on top of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon from the late 90s and early noughties. Imagine if Otis and Mandy can like transform themselves from being like the heel couple. It could be really powerful, and we saw a glimpse of that when after they beat Miz and Morrison, that Otis was going to attack Braun from behind, and it was really good. I love the double worm as well, fantastic. Okay, yeah, and I nearly forgot what Seth Rollins did to Rey Mysterio. The whole match, I believed, as I was talking about before, this whole essence of telling a story, Seth Rollins did it brilliantly, where he was distraught from his defeat against Drew McIntyre, and then once Rey Mysterio attacked him, he, in that really good tag team match with Buddy Murphy against Alistair Black and Rey Mysterio, once Mysterio attacked him, he just went berserk and then did that really strong stunt of puncturing Rey Mysterio's eye. Some people like Atif Nawaz in the Zoom chat said he thought that was a step too far, whilst I thought that it was a good attempt in order to push boundaries in a period where there's no fans in attendance, so you can have time to give them the fake blood samples in order to make it look as realistic as possible. And Seth Rollins was showing the complete opposite to Becky Lynch, who was celebrating that she's pregnant with their child. So it was a really strong stunt, and I thought I should mention that quickly. I hope it was a stunt, and you can see how afterwards Seth Rollins went to try to apologize to Rey Mysterio, and Alistair Black was really angry with Buddy Murphy that this storyline could continue all the way towards Backlash. Fantastic. And you can see 4 very talented athletes, because Murphy did really well. I was really worried that Seth Rollins may attack Murphy. So I'm glad that the whole Messiah storyline can continue, especially with the Messiah having a new entrance. Come on. Oh, what's going on? I don't want to drag on for too long. I think it's going a bit longer. So let me go straight to the final topic I want to talk about. UFC, thank you so much. After we spoke about UFC 249, 2 more events followed up, and I'm going to talk about the 2 main events. So Smith versus Texeira, and also Saturday. So that happened on last Wednesday, and on Saturday, so on the 16th of May, on Saturday there was Overeem versus Harris. 2 fantastic fights in which the underdog was able to beat the favourites, and in both cases the favourite was able to initially have the upper hand against their rival, but then you can see that Overeem first of all was able to withstand an obliteration from Harris, and I think Harris more than anything was tired himself out. It was really emotionally into the game. May his stepdaughter rest in peace, and it was very emotional. But Overeem's defense was really good. That he kept his body apart by using his legs. Fantastic defense game. And same thing with in a similar situation with Texeira against Smith. Smith was the faster, younger fighter who was doing good jabs. He cut Texeira above his eyebrow, but then Texeira landed that heavy blow, and Smith never recovered. And I was surprised that Texeira never went for a choke, never continually tried to pummel him down when Smith was on the floor, because he went for a choke too many times. Nevertheless, Cormier had, and quite a few pundits have said afterwards that the Smith camp should have forfeited that fight, because Smith has even complained that he felt that his teeth was falling out. So it was a bit of a sad situation, but they should have cancelled the fight. Forfeited the fight. But it's just the power of MMA in which no one is guaranteed a victory. I know we've seen too many guys gaining the victory. We've seen Bones Jones, Conor McGregor maybe get given some bonus points. So although McGregor did dominate Cowboy, and although Cowboy did good against Pettis last week, it was good to see controversy. It was good to see other guys making a name. at the expense of the favourite. Gaeth was able to do it. Texeira was to show that age is just a number. And then same thing for Overeem, because he is seen as a guy who's washed up apparently, but then he helped to build himself again when he beat Junior dos Santos. So it's fantastic. Oh, that reminds me. Unfortunately, Velasquez was released a few weeks ago. Should have mentioned it before. Unfortunate, but during this COVID situation, I guess they got to save money, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to go back to his Bret Hart autobiography. Thank you for joining in, and I hope you guys stay safe. God bless.